Ever find yourself thinking about how we can empower women to kind of like transform a nation's future? Well, that's what we're going to dig into today. We're diving into the world of Jennifer Bash and this whole exciting landscape of Tanzanian agriculture.
Yeah, it's a really cool story, honestly. It's about how big dreams and sustainable practices, can create this ripple effect. It's not just in Tanzania, but it could even change the entire African continent.
Okay, let's break this down a bit. So we're talking Jennifer Bash, right? Founder and CEO of Alaska Tanzania. For those of us just kind of getting to know her work, can you tell us more about Jennifer and her vision? What got her so passionate about transforming Africa's business world, especially for women?
So Jennifer, her whole journey is really rooted in this really strong belief that when you empower women, the whole economy thrives. And she is so focused on breaking down those walls that stop African countries from trading freely. Like imagine a totally unified African market where everyone's cooperating across borders and the economies are just flowing. That's her ultimate goal.
Wow, that's incredibly ambitious. It's not just about, lifting Tanzania up alone. It's about making the whole continent stronger. It makes you wonder, like, what are the trade barriers that she's up against? And honestly, how realistic is that kind of ambition?
That's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, there are so many things holding back trade within Africa, from infrastructure problems to all these regulations, and even just a lack of trust between countries. Jennifer gets that. She sees how complicated it is. And her way of doing things is not about some quick fix. It's about tackling each barrier one by one systematically.
Okay, I see. So how is she actually putting this vision into action? What are some of the ways she's going about empowering women specifically?
So Jennifer's initiatives are really multifaceted. She's
Yeah.
got these really solid training programs going on, right? And it's not just your basic business stuff. She's equipping women with serious entrepreneurial skills, stuff tailored to the African market and the challenges they face.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Practical, targeted support. It's one thing to talk about empowering people, but it's another to actually give them the tools to make it happen.
Exactly. And she doesn't just stop there. She's set up these mentorship programs, connecting women who are just starting out with these amazing, experienced business women who can really guide them. But honestly, maybe the most important thing she's doing is addressing access to funding, which is something people often overlook.
You're right. I mean, getting that capital is crucial, especially for women, because they often face more obstacles when they're trying to get funding. So how is Jennifer bridging that gap?
She's making a real effort to connect these female entrepreneurs with investors and funding opportunities. She understands that if you want true economic empowerment, you need financial inclusion, no question. It's all about creating a truly level playing field so women can not only start businesses, but actually grow them too.
It's really inspiring to see someone so dedicated to creating change that lasts. But let's bring these efforts back to the core of what we're talking about today, Tanzanian agriculture. How do Jennifer's initiatives actually play out on the ground, within that specific sector?
To really get that, we got to understand just how crucial agriculture is to Tanzania, right? Like, it's the foundation of their livelihood. We're talking almost a quarter of their entire GDP, and a whopping 66% of their workforce is in this sector.
Wow, those numbers are huge. But like many agricultural sectors globally, I'm guessing Tanzanian agriculture has its own set of challenges. Maybe we should shift gears a little and explore those in more detail in the next part of our deep dive. So we know agriculture is really the heart of Tanzania's economy, but for the farmers there, what are the everyday things that make their jobs tough? What are they up against?
Well, in a nutshell, climate change. It's really messing with the rainfall, and that's a huge deal. Just look at 2022. 4 of their rainy months, like the ones they really rely on, were some of the driest they've had in decades. That kind of unpredictability just throws everything off. It wreaks havoc. Like rice production.
Hmm?
It took a nosedive, like a 9% drop, and that's partly because of those crazy weather shifts, and El Nino definitely didn't help.
It's easy to forget when you're miles away thinking about your grocery list, how much these environmental things can really impact people's ability to just, make a living. You mentioned rice. Are there other important crops that are taking a hit?
Oh, absolutely. Maize, for sure. It's a staple food in Tanzania. So when the yields go up and down like that, families start struggling to put food on the table. Plus, the farmers, they rely on those harvests for income, right, to support their families, but also to reinvest in their farms. And when that income's shaky, it's a problem.
Yeah, it creates this ripple effect that goes way beyond just, what's happening on the farm. And that makes me want to bring it back to Jennifer Bash. With all her work, How does her idea of sustainable agriculture help with these real-life problems that Tanzanian farmers are dealing with?
Well, Jennifer, she's all about these environmentally friendly methods, right?
Hmm.
The ones that not only increase how much food they can grow, but also make sure they're not using up all the resources for future generations. Think about it. Farmers learning how to use every drop of water, especially during those dry spells that are becoming way too common.
So she's equipping them with the knowledge and, I guess, the actual tools they need to handle these new conditions, these changes.
Exactly. And it's not just about getting by, it's about actually doing well. Like imagine these farmers using techniques like agroforestry. They would actually integrate trees into their farms. It helps with the soil, with erosion, but then they also have this whole other potential income source from the fruit or the timber.
Yeah, it's like building in this safety net. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket at the mercy of like whatever the weather decides to do. But are these practices catching on? What's holding back sustainable agriculture from really taking off in Tanzania?
Honestly, one of the biggest hurdles is just, well, awareness. A lot of farmers, they don't know about these techniques or they can't get the training or the tools they need to actually use them. And that's where Jennifer's focus on teaching and sharing knowledge really makes a difference.
It's about closing that gap, giving farmers the information to make smart choices for themselves and their land. What about the money side of things? Because going sustainable, that often means spending more money up front, right?
You're right, you hit a nerve there. It's tough. Many farmers can't get the funding they need for better equipment or different seeds, even for the training itself. And this is where Jennifer's work, connecting entrepreneurs with investors, with those who can provide funding, becomes so important for the agricultural sector, maybe more than anywhere else.
It seems like she's got this multi-pronged approach, tackling education, finding ways to get people funding, and promoting these sustainable practices that can survive, even thrive, with climate change. With everything she's doing, what's next for Tanzanian agriculture? Is there hope? Is there potential for growth, even with all these challenges? I guess we'll have to get into that in the final part of our deep dive. So we've talked about the tough stuff, the challenges, but I mean, every challenge is like a chance for something new, right?
Right.
So what about Tanzanian agriculture? Like, what does the future look like? Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sure, there are hurdles, but there's this real feeling of, optimism. People are hopeful. The Tanzanian agricultural market, it's on track to hit, get this, $17.44 billion by
Right.
2024. And it's not stopping there. No way. They're expecting something like 5.63% growth every year, all the way to 2029.
Those are some pretty impressive numbers. What's driving all that? Is it just demand, or is there more to it?
It's a bunch of things coming together, really. So you got private investors. They see the potential here, right? They're putting serious money into it. And then on top of that, the government's stepping up, making it easier for agricultural businesses to, actually do business. They're streamlining the regulations, fixing up infrastructure, and really focusing on boosting production. It's kind of a big deal.
So it's about setting the stage for growth in every sense of the word. Got any examples? Something concrete that shows this commitment.
Oh, for sure. Take the Southern Agricultural Growth Corridor of Tanzania project. They call it SAGCUT. It's all about these public-private partnerships working together to, unlock all the potential that the region has for agriculture.
Right.
Everything from roads and access to markets to, like we were talking about, those sustainable farming practices.
Right. So they're taking all these things we've been discussing, the infrastructure problems, the need for sustainability, the whole investment piece, and kind of connecting the dots. And that brings me back to Jennifer Bash. We talked earlier about how she wants to see more young people, especially women, becoming entrepreneurs in agriculture. With all this growth happening, it seems like there's a huge opportunity for them to really make a difference.
Exactly. That's what Jennifer's working towards. It's her vision.
Yeah.
And her plan, it's about more than just quick wins. She's building something that lasts, something that'll create a stronger, more resilient agricultural sector for like generations to come.
Empowering them to be the leaders,
Right.
right? The next generation of like agricultural innovators. How's she going to make that happen?
Well, one of the big things is market access. A lot of these small-scale farmers, they get shut out of the markets where they could be making real money. So imagine if they had access to these new platforms, these online marketplaces, that could connect them directly with buyers. No middlemen taking a cut, just fair prices for their hard work.
Leveling the playing field, giving them a real shot. That's awesome.
Yeah, and none of it works if those future leaders don't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer's a big believer in education, especially when it comes to, being an entrepreneur. That goes double for women and young people. Give them the knowledge, the skills to start their own businesses. That's how you get real innovation and sustainable growth.
Jennifer Bash's story is pretty remarkable. It reminds us that no matter how big the problems are, we can all make a difference. And she's not just going for profits, she's making a positive impact, building a better future for Tanzanian agriculture, making it more sustainable. It makes you think, what other industries need this kind of leadership? And what about us? What can we learn from her dedication? How can we create that kind of positive change in our own communities?
Those are the questions, right? Jennifer, she's an inspiration, showing us that even when things are uncertain, there's always hope, there's innovation, there's the power of, good old-fashioned determination.
It's been great diving deep into the world of Tanzanian agriculture. Huge thanks to Jennifer Bash for the work that she's doing. And thanks to all of you for listening. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.